When I used to deliver pizzas for a nearby restaurant, something crazy happened one Saturday night. It was almost midnight, 11:45 p.m., when the phone rang for a big order, 8 large pizzas. Normally, we didn't do deliveries after 11:30 p.m., but my boss really wanted the money, so he insisted. I was chosen to take those pizzas to a house far away. I put the address in my phone and saw it was a 30-minute drive. It took a long time to make 8 huge pizzas. By the time they were ready, it was 1 a.m. It wasn't what I had planned for my night, but I thought maybe I'd get a big tip, so I went for it. I packed the pizzas, started driving, and got to a really big house on a hill around 1 a.m., just like I thought. The house looked nice, but the yard was a mess. The grass was super tall, like no one had mowed it for ages. I arrived at a place to deliver a lot of pizza. But guess what? There were no cars around, and it was super dark, no lights on anywhere. It felt like nobody was there, even though they ordered a ton of pizza. When I went to knock on the door, something strange caught my attention. A note stuck to the door that said, "Pizza delivery person. Come inside," without ringing the bell. It was really odd, but I decided to ring the bell anyway. But there was just silence. I knocked again, listened really hard, but I couldn't hear a thing. I was outside holding 8 pizzas, feeling worried. If I went back without getting paid, my boss would be very mad. But then I remembered something scary. A kid named Billy Holmes was taken not far from here recently, which made me nervous. Right when I was thinking of leaving, someone called me from inside the house. They said they were upstairs and wanted 8 pizzas, but it seemed strange for one person to order so much. I stayed cautious, ready to leave if things got weird. The house and yard were messy, and something about the voice didn't seem right. Stepped inside, but kept the door partly open just to be safe. All of a sudden, I saw a tiny dark shape move quickly across the yard outside. It was hard to see because it was so dark, but I definitely saw something. The figure looked strange. It had a small head, but a big body, almost like a mix of a baby and a grown-up. And I thought I saw a tail, like it was a strange mix of different animals. It really scared me. I closed and locked the door fast, then realized my phone was in the car. I started to panic because I was stuck inside without a way to call for help. I needed to find another way to get out. I walked through the dark hallways feeling really scared. The house was a mess, with windows covered and doors locked. I was really worried. Suddenly, I found a room lit by candles. On the floor, there was a scary star shape drawn with something red that looked like blood. It gave me a big fright. I was trying to leave when I heard someone coming. Voice calling me sounded different, not like a woman anymore. I got scared and saw a window. Without thinking, I jumped through it. Glass cut my arms and face when I landed outside. I hurried to my car and looked back. There was someone at the broken window, laughing. It was a scary laugh that made me really scared. I drove away fast and only later realized I was trembling a lot. I called the police and told them everything. Later, I found out the house belonged to an old couple's grandson. He had a bad history and had done some really bad things. He was using that empty house to trick people, but thankfully nothing happened to me. But something really surprising happened that makes me worried even now. He wasn't by himself. When the police searched the place, they discovered tunnels dug under the house leading to secret rooms. It turns out he was working with a bunch of other people, planning who knows what. It really scared me to think I was so close to some serious trouble. That night, I narrowly avoided a dangerous situation, and just thinking about it still scares me. What was supposed to be a normal pizza delivery became a really scary experience. When I was in high school, I had a job at a pizza place that was in a quiet area. It was in a small shopping spot next to a highway in a little town. There weren't many people nearby, so the store didn't get a lot of customers. We only had a small group working there, especially during late hours. Sometimes there were only 2 of us, one person making the pizzas and the other delivering them. It wasn't the easiest way to run things, but we managed to make it work. The most fun times to work were on Wednesday or Thursday nights, because it was really calm. You almost felt like you were getting paid to hang out and talk with your coworker. Usually, we only had to handle 1 or 2 orders. Nothing too hard. But one night, right before we were about to finish at 11 p.m., we got a call. It was strange because we hardly ever got calls that late. My colleague was outside smoking, so I was by myself when the phone rang. I hesitated to answer because it was late and most families here sleep early as they work on farms. I was curious about who could be calling at that hour. When I picked up, the voice was unfamiliar. Normally, I know who's calling and what they'll order, but this time, it was unexpected. This person ordered something really different. They wanted a hamburger at a pizza place, which was unusual. When I offered to show them our menu, they said it's okay. They just wanted raw hamburger meat. That was weird because I thought they meant a hamburger pizza, but nope, they really wanted uncooked meat. I wasn't sure if I could sell that, so I asked my coworker, but they didn't know either. Finally, I had to tell the person that I wasn't sure if I could sell raw meat. This guy really wanted something from me. He practically begged for it. It was strange, like he really needed it. I wasn't sure about it, but when he offered me some extra money, I gave in. I thought, sometimes people do strange things for money. So I packed up about $10 worth of raw meat, put his address in my GPS and started driving. I'd been delivering things in that area for about 1.5 years, but I'd never seen this guy's house before. It was an old broken-down farmhouse at the end of a long dirt road. It looked scary, like something from a horror movie. I parked, went up to the front door, and knocked. When he opened the door, he seemed normal, not at all like someone who lived in a house like that. I gave the man a bag of raw meat and asked why he wanted it instead of our regular food. He smiled and said he liked eating it raw. I looked confused, so he explained how it's good for you to eat meat that way. That made me feel a bit better, until he struggled to give me a tip. He handed me 11 crumpled dollar bills, which was fine. But then he opened the meat container, smelled it deeply, and had a strange reaction. It seemed like he really enjoyed the smell, which made me uncomfortable. When I saw a child with him, I asked if it was his kid. Instead of a happy response, he got angry. He gave me a scary look that made me want to leave quickly. I said thanks and moved away without turning my back. He didn't talk, just kept looking angry. The car ride back to the pizza place felt really long. When I got there, I called 911 because I had a bad feeling. I was worried about a kid who seemed really afraid of their dad, and it didn't sit well with me. The police looked into it and said everything was all right, but I had a hard time believing them. I couldn't understand how they could think everything was fine. I decided not to make any more deliveries there after that night. I often think about the man and the kid. I wonder if I should have done more to find out what was happening. The idea of the kid possibly going through something terrible and wondering why nobody helped them is what bothers me the most. Many months went by, and I almost forgot about that weird night. Then, while I was working at the pizza place, I saw our local news talking about something big. They found a kid who had been missing for a long time. Police got a clue that took them to an old farmhouse in our town. I got really scared when I saw the farmhouse on TV. It was the place where I had delivered something important on a very scary night. The reporter said that a kid was kept there for a long time by someone who seemed normal. They showed a picture of the person, and it was the same guy who had asked me for raw meat. The kid secretly sent a message for help, and that helped the authorities find the house. Whenever the police came, the man acted like everything was okay, making it seem normal. I was shocked. The child I noticed peeking out was actually the missing kid trying to ask for help. It really shook me up. I never thought something like that could happen. That night was really messed up. It taught me that things might not always be as they look, and listening to your feelings is super important. I kept thinking if I could have done more, but I felt better knowing the kid was okay at last. Finding out the truth about the missing child was a huge surprise. It showed me how important it is to notice strange things and trust your instincts. It was scary to realize that a seemingly normal situation had a really scary secret. Before I continue to the next story, if you are interested in earning from YouTube without showing your face, or without making videos by yourself using artificial intelligence, like the video that you are watching right now, then I have a special free training for you. Check the first link in the description below to get instant access. Back in my last year of high school, I got a job delivering stuff for a nearby store. It was cool because my uncle owned the store, and my cousins worked there too. I got the job easily because of my family. Also, my uncle was relaxed about when I worked, so it was really easy for me to fit it around my schedule. One night was special. It was late, about 9 or 10 p.m., and I had one more delivery left. But it was really far away. I thought it would be my last delivery for the night, and I really wanted to finish work. I drove to the address. When I arrived, there were so many cars in the driveway that I couldn't park there. I had to park on the street where a few other cars were already parked. I took the food and went to the house. The driveway had 5 cars parked in it. I walked up to the door to knock, but there was a note stuck on it. The note said to leave the food by the door and that my tip was there too. I saw a $5 bill on the step, so I left the food, took the money, and went back to my car. I was really happy to be finished for the night. I just had to stop by the restaurant, finish my work, and go home. But while I was driving back, I started feeling weird, like I forgot something really important. I checked my pockets for my phone. It was there, but my wallet? I couldn't find it anywhere. I got really scared and started searching under the car seat. Thankfully, I found what I was looking for on the seat next to me. But when I looked back, I saw someone hiding in the mess of my car. When we saw each other, the person tried to stand up. I got really scared and suddenly stopped the car. Everything inside went flying, and the person almost fell to the other side in the back. I didn't hesitate. I quickly got out of the car and ran into the middle of the road. It was quiet at first, but suddenly, a car came speeding towards me. The driver slammed on the brakes to avoid hitting me. I was focused on getting away from a stranger who was in my car. Surprisingly, instead of following me, that person jumped into the driver's seat and drove off with my car. The driver, who almost crashed into me, stopped and asked if I was okay. I quickly told him that my car had been hit by someone and asked him to call the police. He was a nice person, so he stopped his car, called 911, and stayed with me until the police arrived. When the police came, they asked me a lot of questions. Later, my family came to take me home. A week later, they found my car abandoned in a different city, but they didn't know who took it. The police found something surprising in the car. There was a secret space under the back seat. In it, they discovered a bag filled with ID credit cards and money. It was actually a collection of things stolen from different people in town. And you won't believe it, one of those IDs belonged to the person who ordered the delivery that night. The police looked harder and discovered the man was behind the whole trick. He'd ask for food to be delivered to homes, tell the delivery person to leave it at the door, then sneak into their car while they dropped off the food. When the driver went away, he'd hide. After they left, he'd drive the car away and leave when they stopped and got out. He didn't think I'd see him. He probably guessed I'd drive away without knowing. When I saw him, it ruined his plan completely. He ran away on foot, leaving the stolen car. The police connected the stolen ID to many car thefts and break-ins, but he disappeared completely. Pretty wild, huh? I never expected a normal delivery to become like a movie, but it taught me to always listen to my instincts and stay watchful, even during easy jobs.